Greetings to all of you, and of course, welcome to this, as promised, broadcast here in reference to the people's movement. It is very important for us to, as a people, as a nation, understand the dynamics of our very, very unique society. Guyana is in peril. We are in trouble. And I do not say the word trouble lightly or casually. There are many, many aspects of our society that are or have been wounded by irresponsible, criminal, dishonest, and quite delinquent people who claim to be leaders. It is therefore imperative for us as a people, especially with the people's movement, to speak to these matters. Guyana is considered to be a multi-religious nation. We have various religious groups in the country. However, the main three are labeled as Christian, Hindu, and Muslim. There is no part of our constitution in which anyone is prohibited, even in public office, from practicing the tenets of his religion. Nowhere. There is nowhere in our law that states that if you become the president, you are prohibited from being Muslim. Hence, Irfaan Ali would normally be out there showing us um, that he is in reference to how he tries to behave. And um, so I took note, and many have observed, I'm sure, that Irfaan Ali, who's paid to be president and know the language that they use, he's paid to be president. Because I would continue to have an issue with how the results of 2020, the electoral cycle, that process would have panned out. I continue to have an issue with the People's Progressive Party refusing for the election petitions to be heard in the court of law. I have an issue with that. And I would expect any right-thinking Guyanese to have an issue with that. So while you're here for us to have this discussion today, please indicate to me whether you hear me clearly on Facebook and also on YouTube. We've been having many issues, many glitches. I don't know what's the cause of it. I'm not inclined to speculate, but just indicate to me whether you hear me clearly, you see me clearly as well. Our brother Jinnah Rahman is with us in studio this morning, and we'll also have a discussion with him. And we'll be engaging because Jinnah would have grown up in a Muslim environment or family. So he would be very, very informed as to what is expected. I have studied Islam because I do not believe in speaking ignorantly. And I'm well aware that Irfaan Ali's conduct is quite contrary to the tenets, to the teachings, to the order of Islam. I know that. You often hear me say that Irfaan Ali is committing haram very often, which is essentially in Christendom, we call it sin. Irfaan thinks that it's okay to just do whatever he wants to do. Thank you. Under the guise of being called as president. And we're not accepting that. So we have seen our aspiring in reference to Azruddin Mohammed. This may shock some of you, but it hasn't shocked me. Because, excuse me, because yesterday I was conversing within my head. Yeah, I talk to myself. I don't answer myself though. But I was wondering, I thought about Max and when the people he came out, he was throwing punches, as they call it. And then in industry, some men met and hit him in his head with pieces of wood and so on. And Max went silent because he was really going after Jagri and others. He was an Irfaan Ali. He was, as they call it, going in. He was dealing with them. And then here they were, coons attacked him, physically harmed him as a warning. I believe that much of the PPP, many of their followers, are thuggish in their behavior. I do not forget when they were going to Brian Max, that's correct. When they were going to swear in Janet Jagan, and there was an injunction, I think it would have been a court order sent. Thuggish behavior again. They accosted a court martial. I do not support the PNC, but I support his right. I don't support any political party in this country because I believe that they've done injustice to us across the board. But I don't believe in anyone disrespecting the court of law. An order from the court, I should say. Let's not forget, this is not behavior that you're seeing now. Let's not forget that when Claudette Singh was not doing what Jagdeo liked, remember he was speaking ill about her for quite a few weeks. And then suddenly Jagdeo told the people, listen, stop. Don't say anything bad about Claudette. And I knew then that Granger would have been out of office. Because Jagdeo was controlling what people say to and about Claudette Singh. Suddenly she became the most charming person in the PPP's eyes. What happened to Granger is gone. She thereafter began to reject everything Lowenfield put on the table until it became what she accepted. That's what you're dealing with here. Let me show you this video before I bring Jin into studio. See for yourself.
Video this big man. He telling the girl to slap Mr. Ramaya. Video him. Snake assault me by one thing.
This is president! This is
That's dictatorship, brother. That is dictatorship. Yeah. How you can threaten the people, threaten the people livelihood in this country because you're supporting a political party or a human being. One single person, you will lose your job. What nonsense. They want you come in?
I know about one Guyana. This government is not for one Guyana. It's for themselves. You can see all the 10 days worker. At our expense, they come and protest.
Them threaten the 10 days worker. Them tell the 10 days worker, then they go scratch open the list.
Yes!
Me here down myself. I the street there right now.
Oh, they're protesting are the 10-day workers. I'm sorry for them, they're forced to.
Majority people out there want to be in here just because of the traffic.
That the 10-day workers. So I understand the situation they're in. They're forcing them to do things they don't want to do. Because whilst walking coming in, they told me, quietly, Mr. Mohammed, we don't want to do this, but they're forcing us to do this.
Brothers and sisters, Irfaan Ali, Clifton Hicken, and all of you, need I say more? First of all, Azruddin Muhammad was in a private residence. That's somebody's yard. A crowd of people were blocking the street. They were trying to stop the person in a wheelchair with one leg from entering a private residence. If I go down to Mackenzie today or to Georgetown, I stand at the Square of the Revolution in front of the president, in front of anywhere, the police will surround me immediately in a few moments. Now look at how many people are on the road. Did you see any police there? Did you notice one police officer telling them they cannot block the street or they cannot be, because that is in itself criminal. You're not supposed to be in front of people's yard harassing them, because the Constitution speaks of us having peace and us having the ability to enjoy our lives and in reference to our space. You can't just come into my space and misbehave. Let me bring Jen in studio. Jenny, you're here. A lot for us to unpack and speak about today. All right? But look at what we live with in Guyana. Your mic is muted, Jenna. Just unmute your mic for me, please.
I have to take off the mute button. Yes, am I on air now? Salam, shalom, and namaste to all of our viewers. I think you already apologized for us not being able to stream last night.
Yeah.
The incident we just saw there is shocking, and you and I, we speak the truth, regardless of who might be offended. And I say this to you after more than 50 years under the PNC. This type of thing used to go on, and I am shocked and horrified being one of the leading people in the People's Progressive Party. My parents were founders of the PPP. One of my elder brother was one of the first member of the PPP in 1950, when Dr. Jagan and Mr. Forbes Burnham were the founders of the People's Progressive Party that was formed in 1950. For those younger people who don't know, and they blaspheme Mr. Burnham without no good reason, and he needs to be criticized, both Jagan and Burnham, if it's become necessary. I think that they need to understand that this country of ours belongs to every single one of us. And as you said earlier, it is not the property of any single person, whether they are an elected official or appointed official. And let me say this to you. I have fought for democracy, freedom, and rights in this country more than most people. Those who are talking about the guardian of democracy are the ones who are now destroying the very basic and principles of democracy and freedom and rights in this country. And we are not going to allow this to happen. I want to make absolutely clear. The reason why the PNC locked me up in 1973 and charged me for committed murder was because they wanted us not to oppose what they were doing. And we have a repeat of that here now. All of this is about the prevention of free and fair election in Guyana. Look, brother, I told you I have traveled around this country. I was invited by people who invited Azruddin Mohammed, and I went there as an invitee, just like how Mr. Azruddin was invited to Letterkenny.
Right.
I used to live in Berbice. I used to attend the Quarantine High School. So I know Quarantine Berbice very well. And those people are very peaceful people. You saw the demonstration. It was led by a brother who is supposed to be a Muslim, who is supposed to be the vice chairman of Region 6. Let's be very clear who we're dealing with. We're dealing with people. Yes, the guy is the vice chairman of the Region 3. And he's leading a delegation of people who are going to disrupt a very peaceful meeting that was held in a private property. That's the level of disorder that we have in this country, which I must tell you that I'm ashamed to be identified with these guys who call themselves Muslims. And later in the discussion, we will show that these guys have got nothing to do with the principles of Islam. That is the problem. And I'm very annoyed with that. And as you said that, I was born in a Muslim family, a very prominent, reputable family. My father had a very important position. He was one of the founders of the Islamic, the Guyana Anjuman, Islamic Anjuman, which was led by a man called Yaqub Ali. When I was a
Yes.
young fellow, and I was a follower, like you know, a religious guy, I was a follower, an activist in the Islamic world. So I know about Islam, and I will, during the process of this discussion, I will quote some Quranic verses to justify what we are saying and to show that Islam is a religion of peace. That's what it means. Islam means peace and harmony. So what we are seeing being displayed and allowed to be displayed by the president of this country, who has constitutional power, Mohammed Irfaan Ali, he's not acting in the best interests of the welfare of this country, and worse yet, he's displaying a behavior that is anti-Muslim and anti-Islamic. And we can discuss and debate with any one of them, any place, any time, about the principles of Islam. They are not living up to these principles.
So Asif is asking whether you are selective in what you're saying.
We have two major
Asif,
organizations in this country, and let me name them. If I am selected in what you are speaking, but what nonsense is that? This guy's an idiot.
are you selective in
Nobody
what you're
has to
saying?
elect somebody if you are
No, he's asking if
on the right
you're
to speak, on the
he's
right to
asking if
express
you are being
himself, right?
selective. If you're being selective in what you're saying, in that because you're criticizing Irfan on one side, the
I
other guy, and maybe he's saying you're not criticizing
what I'm not being
Azruddin.
selected because well, listen, just like we, as you know, this program that we run, people are free to express themselves with respect. They can ask us any questions, they can challenge us on anything. So he has a right to ask me that question. I am not being selective, and I am not going to defend anyone, even my own relatives, when it comes to principles, practices of it. I am very firm on that. In fact, I'm very critical of some of my own relatives. I have no compunction. I am not going to defend anybody. You know, the Quran is very clear on these matters. It says, and I quoted that yesterday, but we weren't able to hear it. It says, for every autumn of good you do, you shall be rewarded, and every autumn of bad you do, you shall be punished. It's not me saying that. So I am not interested in defending anyone on earth, just like you. We are united on a common principle of defending people of all color, all race, all gender, all ages. We've been doing it over the last couple of years since we met. We began and launched this movement in the heat of their teacher strike, and we gave them full support in our writings and in our speaking. So we will continue to support anyone in this country who rights are being violated. And a lot of people's rights are being violated every single day. We
Let me
are
let me
at the
let me
verge of a rebellion in this country.
permit me, Jenna, because let me just show this again, part of it, so the viewer can understand what we're speaking to. And this has to be clear from us and repeated because of the state of our society. People don't understand apparently what Guyana is in the state we're in. If you accuse Azruddin Mohammed or anybody else of any crime, according to our law and according to the United Nations Convention of Treaties, according to the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, it is clear that you are innocent until you're proven to be guilty in a court of law. Not if somebody calls you guilty, you're guilty. I have never seen Azruddin Muhammad on a witness stand in a court of law being charged for any criminal act. He cannot charge himself. So if you say that Azruddin or his father, Nazir or Shell as he's called, is guilty of something, they cannot charge themselves. Where are the charges? Why are they not being laid? So there's no selectivity here in this situation. My point is that I don't see one police officer. Oh boy. Jenna, you need to read this. Let me read it for you. Asif is responding to you. This is going to get interesting this morning. Don't speak of Muslim. This is what Asif on your screen is saying. And don't lecture people on religion and Muslim. I never heard you speak out against your family who are colluding with the government to rape the country. Really, Asif? You must have been on Mars or somewhere. Jenna has called people by name who are his relatives. He's identified his relatives were involved in collusion for wrongdoing. Jenna has named his relatives. So I don't know which part of the planet you're from, brother. Don't do that. As cool as you and I may be in reference to social media world, I don't play with that. Do not be dishonest. If you've never heard him say it, it doesn't mean it wasn't said because you're not here every day. On many occasions, I've heard Jenna speak to people and say, that is my family. Unmute your microphone, please, Jenna. Unmute. Your mic is muted.
Everybody who know me, whether they are friends of mine, relatives, or whatever, knows that I have been openly criticized. I've openly criticized on the Channel 6 television all the governments that have come and ruled this country. During the Jagdeo period, during the Ramadhan period, during the Granger period, and now. I have a consistency to the point where all the politicians are upset with me because I don't toe the line with any of them. So I think we should dismiss this guy. He's just an Asian provocateur like so many of them.
No, you said you never spoke against your family who are colluding with the government. That is unheard of.
This guy's a distraction, really. So let's not waste time.
But Jenna, just permit me to show the viewers this video here. Look at this.
Video this big man. He telling the girl to slap Mr. Ramaya. Video him. That's dictatorship, brother. That is dictatorship. Yeah. How you can threaten the people, threaten people's livelihood in this country because you're supporting a political party or a human being, one single person.
Jenna.
Yeah.
According to our law, viewers, please hear me carefully. This is not a suggestion. According to the law of Guyana, anywhere where there seems to be a public gathering of people, especially in this case, the police have to be present. That's the law. Now that was a public protest. That wasn't just gathering where people just got to have friendship. That was a protest. People had placards, and there was no police officer, not even one, on screen. So the people could have gone in the man's yard. They could have burnt his house. They could have killed the man's family. They could have done so many things to the person, and not one member of the police force was there. And the law is that they have to be present. The people have to have permission before they could march and use the placard. Or, if not, they have to walk in in files of two. That's what they told me. Two abreast. You cannot block the road. All that they tell us. But all of this comes under the umbrella of what I'm saying, Jenna. You said that the person in the pink is a Muslim. I didn't even know that. Leading people against his brother. And Irfan Ali is also quiet. Let's speak to this, please. Let's get into Ramadan now. Let's get into this period here.
That demonstration. I want to read this Quranic verse for you to start this discussion. It talks about human rights in Islam, the Islamic perspective of human rights. I'll read it to you. So it is the right to live a peaceful living, as well as the right to own, protect, have property protected, is Islamic economic jurisprudence. I could read for the purposes of those people who don't know much about Islam. Let me read the 5 pillars of Islam. These are the practices are referred to as the pillars because 5 pillars of Islam are Shahada, Salah, Zakat, Swam, and Hajj. The Shahada is what is called the acceptance of Islam. Believe in one God, believe that Muhammad is the last prophet. Salah is the 5 prayers, Zakat, as you know, charity. And there's a confusion about Zakat because it's supposed to be a state, money given to the state and not to individual. And there's and Swam is fasting, which Ramadan, which are here, and Hajj, as you know, people are supposed to go to Mecca if they can afford that. Now, there are certain that for every ounce of good you do, you must be punished. The president of this country was charged, had 19 charges. I was charged on 2 occasions, and I faced the court. The first charge in 1973 by the PNC, when I was charged and locked up for 7 days and 7 nights and placed into the court, and the matter took 4 years to be heard and was dismissed. The question in 1980 about the charge for treason, they went to court, I wasn't there, and the matter was dismissed. So what Irfan Ali, before he should have accepted the position of wanting to become the president of this country, he should have cleared his name. The same thing Anil Nandalal had to do, and none of the 2 of them. So there's where we have to start. Who is violating the constitution of this country and the laws of this country, and who is defending them? The person who is defending them is a director of public prosecution who is the wife of a gentleman called Sheikh Moin Haq, who is the spiritual head of the Muslim organization CIOG, right? The Guyana Islamic,
the Central Islamic Organization. Yeah,
he's the head of that organization. And this gentleman, he's also the chairman of the Ethnic
Relations Commission.
Yes. Apart from that, this gentleman, Mr. Hack, is also the current chairman of the Ethnic Relations Council. Let me explain to people. The Ethnic Relations Council is one of the many commissions in the Constitution which gives rights to people. So here we are discussing rights to people. In our Constitution, we talked about human rights. And the reason why I'm raising that is because Mr. Hack, in his capacity, and I spoke to Mr. Witter this morning before I came on this program, who is a commissioner on the Ethnic Minority Ethnic Relation Council. And he said, look, you can quote me to say that Mr. Haq is very dishonest. And the things that he's doing as far as he's concerned, knowing about Islam is contrary to the principle of Islam. So here is where the problem is. We have prominent people who are supposed to be in important position in this country, Mr. Mohammed Irfaan Ali, who is constitutionally the president, but all of us know who is the president. He is the de jure president constitutionally, but the real president is Mr. Jagdeo, the de facto president. That's where we are. And then they have used their powers to dismantle constitutional bodies that are supposed to give accountability and lend democracy and rights to the freedom of the people of this country. But they are the greatest transgressors of rights and human rights in Guyana today. Worse, in fact, I will say to you, as a victim of the Burnham dictatorship, that some of the elements that they're employing is worse now, because Burnham, it was not corrupt. You can say anything else about him, but he wasn't corrupt. And nobody can come onto this program to prove that Mr. Burnham was corrupt. He did all kinds of other things that we can discuss and that we know about. But when it comes to corruption and immorality that we see that is being displayed in today's governance, it is shameful for them now to accuse Mr. Burnham of the things they accused him of being the richest man in the country and corruption and all that kind of thing. So you can speak about that.
Yeah, Jenna.
Mr. Burnham.
Jenna, let us speak to Irfaan Ali's silence as a Muslim. Now, Ramadan is supposed to be the holy month. This is a significant month because it forms a part of what you spoke to, which is the 5 pillars of Islam. And in this very holy month, even at this time, and under public, now not public, but these people attacking PPP thugs, I call them 10-day workers who and it seems as if these people have become PPP slaves. And I will not hold my words this morning for y'all. When they come to Linden, the 10-day workers in Region 10 are told that they have to go to make a crowd. You have to sit there or we taking them off the list when we paid anymore. Now, mind you, Jenna, these people are paid $40,000 per month, Guyana dollars. $200 they paid for a whole month. And the PP said they've created jobs. Where in the world can anyone survive on $200 in Guyana's economy? How would that even happen? So they're being threatened. They look at the poverty of people and they use it to their advantage. That's what they do to people. So these 10-day workers were compelled to do what they're doing. Please tell me, Jenna, how can Irfaan Ali be so quiet when this is happening to his brother and former good friend, because they were close? Let's not forget that Ali jumped out of the black Ford F-150, I think would have been, bulletproof vehicle when he was going to be inaugurated or sworn in. Let's not forget that. And it was Mohammed's vehicle. Let's not forget that as far as reports are concerned, he was given one to move around all the time and with security for Mohammed's as well. Not even the state security. So please speak to us, Jenna. Unmute your microphone. Why is Irfaan so quiet when so much is happening to a Muslim brother? Why? What's going on? Because I have a slant to take after you finish. Unmute your microphone, please.
That's a big question that you asked me, why he is so quiet. Because he's so quiet because he's not his own man. He's not his own man. If you appoint a little boy to do a big man's job, what do you expect? He has to take orders. Irfaan Ali takes orders from Jagdeo. If you go and you check the record, you will see not a single thing that Irfan Ali says in the public, and Jagdeo doesn't agree with it, the next day or a couple of days after, Jagdeo reverses it. That shows that we don't have a president. We have a man nominally as president. We cannot allow this to happen in our country. We cannot elect a president, and he does not function as a president. He functions as a little boy. That's what Irfan Ali is, a little boy. I know Irfan Ali's uncle. By the way, let me tell you this. Irfan was born on the same month in April 1980 when I was charged for treason. I worked with Irfan Ali's uncle, MZ Ali, at the Mirror newspaper as a journalist when MZ Ali was the sub-editor of the Mirror newspaper. You see, I have a history of these things. I am not talking about what I have read. I am a participant of history. Nobody can take that away from me. They can try to, but they can't. It's there. It's written. The records are there. So when I speak with a level of not arrogance. I speak with a level of authority, of knowledge that I have, that anybody can question it. And I have been incarcerated, persecuted. So I have a record. I have the authority to speak on these matters. And let me say this. What we are experiencing here in this country is a dictatorship. That's what it is. You can't find any other word to describe it. And a dictatorship which is going to fall because it cannot sustain itself because the foundation are broken. The foundation. What you see in Letterkenny is the beginning of the destruction of the Jagdeo PPP. Ali is a little boy. I wouldn't really want to discuss him, but he allows himself to be treated and abused by Jagdeo. He allowed himself to do that. So he's not a man. He's something else. Because I would not look. I have to repeat it for the purpose of the public. I am not anti-government. I am not anti anybody. I am here like you as a brother to discuss the future and the betterment of our people in this country. And what I have experienced over the last month traveling around with Azruddin Mohammed. And I must declare, Azruddin is my nephew. He's my nephew. His father and I are cousins. And they originate from Essequibo Coast in a village called JC. So I have the right to protect him, to defend him, and to guard him, and to advise him. All right? I have that right. And I would be shirking my responsibility as an uncle if I don't show him what is right and wrong. And I say this to you now. Azruddin has not declared that he wants to become the president of this country. He has not made any public declaration.
Exactly.
And so why? And even if he does say that he wants to be and declared it, then he has the right under our constitution. Anybody in this country, any Guyanese, has the right, except if you have a dual citizenship, you have the right to become the president of this country if the people elect you. So it is not a crime that if Azruddin wants to become the president. In fact, I will say to you that wherever he has gone, people are making that demand upon him. So he has an obligation, he has a moral obligation to respond to that demand. And as a good Muslim, because Azruddin now he's fasting. So he is observing one of the main pillars of Islam. Now, who can say that he is not a Muslim? Coming back to the question that they're trying to accuse him of being a sanctioned man and all kind of derogatory things they say about him. You are right what you say. When Irfan Ali was riding in the man's vehicle 4 years ago, those vehicles were here and they were permitted to arrive in this country and to drive on and get a license to drive on the road. And the GRA never said anything. They were the ones. And if they had questions about those vehicles, they would have asked the people who they bought it from, because they had all the papers and documents in front of them, and they should have questioned it and say, look, the valuation that you gave us is more, and so they have to pay more tax. But they didn't do that. In fact, Mr. Jagdeo, embarrassment to the rest of them, is now, Mr. Jagdeo, as you know, is now questioning how the GRA can, after 4 years, tell Mr. Mohammed that these vehicles were undervalued and you owe the country $980 billion. Mr. Jagdeo is now saying that. And it was this matter about the sanction and this matter about the GRA came from Mr. Jagdeo himself. We have another Trump, Donald Trump, in this country named Mr. Jagdeo. He's a confounded, inveterate liar. I think he lies better than Mr. Trump, because Mr. Trump forgets what he says. That is the problem. So you need to characterize who we are dealing with here. That's what you have to do psychologically. The man is a psychological, pathological liar. That's what he is. Look, I went to see him 2 years ago, him and Mustafa. And I said this to you. I went to Freedom House. I called him. I said, look, I want to discuss some issues to do with farming. He said, okay, come to Freedom House. 3:30, 3:45, I was there. And we had a friendly discussion. I sat with him and Mustafa for nearly 20 minutes. And he had his phone in his hand, and I know he was taping me. So I didn't mind. But I told him, he thought I came there to ask him for a job. I don't want to work with none of these kind of people. If I want to work, serve my country, I don't have to be paid to do that. But if I receive a money to my service, fine. But I didn't go there for that. I raised the issue about food security. Well, that's what we're talking about. And I told him, I said, this slogan that you put out about reducing food to the Caribbean by 25% by 2025, it's going to fail. And he didn't ask me why you think it's going to fail. I continue to say the reasons why it's going to fail was because you're not securing the welfare of the people who are producing the food. That is
the
farmers. Look, I raised the issue. There was nobody, Mustafa wasn't making any notes. He wasn't making any notes. He wasn't taking, he wasn't taking me, Jagdeo was taking me. And throughout that whole meeting, Mustafa said absolutely nothing. He could not even defend what I was saying. And it has come to pass. Remember, you went to that conference in the Arthur Chung Center with me?
Yes.
When they launched that program in their first year, and they were talking about food security and all of that. You were there.
Correct. I was right there.
All right. And Colonel Wilson was there with us also. And I told you there, if you remember, that they are not going to achieve that commitment. And it's not that I didn't want them to achieve it. I still want them to achieve it. It is a good program to reduce food coming from into the Caribbean, and that we can supply. We can supply the Caribbean with all the food that are needed.
Definitely.
But we're not going to be able to do it with the kind of policy that Mr. Guringer had and now they have. We're not going to be able to do that because the truth of the matter is that we don't have the policy, the agricultural policy.
That's
and
it.
we need to talk about it because we need to be more concrete rather than carping and harping. We need to be more constructive in our criticism because it's our country. If they are going to run this country, they must run it in a manner that involves every single person in this country. And they're not doing it. The PNC didn't do it.
Just permit me to speak to this.
And we need to be able to...
Yes. There's on screen, Ali,
Yeah.
our brother Ali Majid.
Sorry,
He said,
I'll call you back. Yeah.
that's fine. Ali Majid said that
Mhm.
Gershel asked
Uh-huh.
if the PPP is voted out, as they would put it, if you still have a vice president. So the response from Ali is that the constitution provides for the appointment of vice presidents. We have had vice presidents since 1980. Now, this is important for me to speak to just briefly, because although Ali is correct, Majid, in the context
Five. Five.
of
You
Gershel's
have five vice
question,
presidents.
right? Okay. Now, what's important for us to take note of is what I said. That's why I said, Jen, I'm going to do a special broadcast on the vice presidency because Guyanese have been misled by the PPP and the unconstitutional wickedness. And the PNC or APNIFC have supported the foolishness. Jagger is not a vice president. There's nothing in our constitution that is called a vice president hanging there in open air. The constitution is very clear. Every
That-
vice president must
No,
be
no.
a
Jagger
minister.
is one of the vice presidents.
No, he's not. And let me make the point
Brother,
in the
okay,
context of this
that is
discussion,
right.
right?
No.
According to the law, every vice president of Guyana must be a minister. So there's nothing called a vice president who does with nothing else attached to his name. And the highest ranked vice president, which would be the first, is always the prime minister. And they're all appointed by the president. That's the law. So we don't have anything called a vice president in Guyana. You have a minister of finance, who's the second vice president, minister of agriculture, maybe
look,
third vice
there are
president,
five,
like
according to the
that.
Constitution, there are five. Yeah,
You can appoint as many as five, but
there
they
are five
have to all be ministers. They can't just be called
five,
vice
yes.
presidents like Jagdi wants to be called. So I just want to make that clear for all viewers. All right?
Well, that's a gross violation of our Constitution. You're right about that. You're correct. Is a display of disrespect for the Constitution of this country, which is the highest laws of our country. That is what is happening. And all these lawyers we have in this country, including Nigel Hughes and all the rest of them, have not filed an action in the court, the constitutional court, to challenge the violation of our Constitution by Jagdeo. Because Jagdeo is violation of the Constitution every single day.
Jagdeo,
so we have liars.
I'm trying to understand how do we have lawyers?
This is the kind of problem we have in this country.
How do we have lawyers? And in the PNC, APNIRC, and Ashley Singh could stand in the House of Assembly to read the Constitution, and he's called the Minister of Finance when Ashley Singh is not the Minister of Finance. But that's for the other broadcast. Ashley Singh is not the Minister of Finance. Ashley Singh is labeled as the Minister or Senior Minister within the office of the President with responsibility for finance. And he's reading our budget.
In the office of the President.
This is
an
unheard of.
Unconstitutional thing. And people, lawyers, we have lawyers who are incapable. I don't say they're incapable. They are capable, but they are not wanting to defend basic human rights in this country. Look, we can spend the whole day talking about the violations of our Constitution, human rights, and democracy in this country, and freedom in this country. The reasons why we're having this national revolt, brother, that we are seeing now is because of the level of exploitation, depression, suppression of the rights of our people, the economic division that has been created from all sides. And
your phone.
Look, I'm getting a lot of calls. I'm sorry. People see me on the program. I want to talk to you. I don't understand that. I probably have to take off my phone because I'm getting too many calls. Let me take this phone off, or else we won't be able.
That's right. While you focus on the phone, we digress. Look, but let's come back to the, because I don't want to miss this on this program. We're in Ramadan. This is why I asked the question, about Irfan silence and so on. We cannot, as two responsible men, miss a very important and critical point in this entire discussion, Jenna. The PPP is known and has been known for a very long time for being predominantly Hindu in reference to the influence. That's a fact. There are more Hindus who support the PPP than any other group. Jagdeo is a Hindu. Anil, Hindu. Ashmi, I think Hindu. Irfan, Muslim. We can't misplace the
I don't
fact
know.
that
They play Hindu. You can play things.
well, right.
You know,
In
you
terms
can
of
play
this,
a-
what they say, right? What they say. But hear me out. How can we ever miss the fact that Irfan is watching another Muslim brother be attacked by a Hindu, which is Jagdeo? And people want to say me, oh, don't make this about religion. It has to be about religion because religion drives many of our decisions that we make as people. You can't be fasting for 40 days if you're not inclined to believe that there's something beneficial to this fast. You would not be saying that at Holi you're going to celebrate good over evil if you don't believe there's something attached to that in reference to your belief system. And what we're seeing may be a minor, a minuscule reflection of Pakistan and India. And this is not something I want us to miss here. And the fact that Irfan is so quiet when a Muslim brother is being attacked, and now you say the region 6 persons, another Muslim, it tells me a lot about how weakened it is. And why am I saying that, Jinnah? Because this is not going to go down well in the Muslim community. I know them. And this would not sit well with them to see that Irfan is not even batting a lip to say a word.
I think what is happening now in the Muslim community is they're very upset, and one of the reasons why you are seeing this kind of violence that are being committed by elements, and let me be very clear, they are very decent people in the PPP and the PNC. Very decent, ordinary people like us who want this country to progress. But we have reached the point here where people are not allowed to express themselves freely without any inhibition. We notice that what that display at Letterkenny is being orchestrated by a guy who can't call himself a Muslim. The guy is the vice chairman of the Region 6. All right? He's the vice chairman of Region 6. And he's battling for his own position. So he was sent there by the vice president, not by the president. Let's make it very clear. I am sure that Irfan did not orchestrate that demonstration. Irfan is not part of the anti-Mohammed campaign. He's not part of that. He has not made any statement so far against the Mohammeds in relation to the sanction. All I know, he has said that he has that he has written to the State Department to get information. We'll come to that. Let me finish. He has written to them. Look, let's be very clear. Irfan is being instructed by Jagdeo, a little boy. Whatever he says is what he's being told to say. The speeches that he read is written not by him or instructed to be written by him. So that's the level. What it shows that our country does not have a constitutional president that functions as a president. That's the problem. We have a very serious problem. As you said early in the discussion, we are in a major crisis in this country. A general major crisis in this country. What did he say?
And as for the sake of time, General, because I have to go to work. The PPP, he's saying. No, it's PPP. Is up no better. Now, Marlon, you and I don't share many views as similar. You defend the PPP all you want, whatever. I really don't care. And the attacks are significant. It doesn't matter to me. However, this discussion lends itself to discussions of this nature. APNU, I just said it, Marlon Tommy. I have a problem with APNU where they could sit and have Jagdeo be called vice president by them. I have a problem with it because something's wrong with these people's head. Why are they all afraid of this man? I don't know what is it about him that makes him so timid or whatever else it is. Maybe he has secrets for all of them. That's why they can't talk. or many of them. But I don't see how you could sit back and have somebody say that he's a vice president and just go along with the game. Additionally, APNU AFC sat and watched as so many things have happened to us as a people and they did nothing. More so, Tommy, and I want you to type in and finish talking here. When Granger was about to leave office, APNU AFC ministers, some of them, and parliamentarians got large swaths of land. I don't care when it comes to that, and used to know better than that. Nobody from PVP said, listen, bring us to the table, let's deal with this matter here, and because many of them are like this. They're buddies. We are led on both sides by people who in many cases represent the same nature. Not all of them.
Donkeys.
I don't play with this, brother. No, not me. I don't defend. I defend what's right, not people. General defends what's right, not people. If APNU does what is good, fine. If PP does what is good, fine. But I'm saying to you that we have a problem with our leadership in this country. And we have to be honest about it. Further, I say to you, Marlon, my problem in this situation here is with how people believe that when they call ministers, they become little gods. Why must they be driving a $125 million vehicle at our expense? Black, all the windshield black. And if you tint your car, they have a problem. I don't play with that nonsense. And you make me go on a branch I didn't want to go this morning. We seem to be second-class citizens in our country, and that's my problem. So if Azruddin says, listen, I am going forward to try to listen to people, how does he become a political enemy? How? What
Correct.
makes him a political enemy? If he says, I listen to people, I'll give them a house for my money. He didn't even take money from the Islamic body. He took money from his own pocket, as far as I'm aware, and build things for people, help people out. Now he's saying, I want to hear your concerns. But you see, the day Azruddin stood up and said on Saturday that he's not Dharamlal, and he said, y'all want to talk about me? I used to protect y'all in 2020. When you want to go up the East Coast, you were scared. I carried you. The next day he went public. Look what it did to him. Because now they realize this boy is coming out now, and this man is speaking with courage. And Jagdeo can never handle that. So what does he do? Typical Jagdeo, as we suspect, send people out because nobody could go protest without Jagdeo's permission. And send them to attack. But let me just, as we approach closing, you give your closing remarks, Jenna. Let me just make this clear to you. Let me just say the things Azruddin is accused of. The US accused him of tax evasion. The US is not GRA. And I don't care about no visa. I tell you before, you know. The USA is not a place where it's heaven for me. Because we don't have mass shootings in the malls in Guyana. We don't go into malls to shoot people up in Guyana. We don't have mass shootings in our schools in Guyana. We don't have mass shootings in the University of Guyana. So get out of my face. Sorry, not you, Jenna. Let me talk to these people. I want to tell them how I feel this morning. The US is no place where I have to be so eager to go. And our leaders cause this. Our leaders make us believe that the US is so important and so critical to our existence that if you don't go there, the US is Mecca for some people. And I've been there for a while. So I know what I'm talking about. So they said the US said it evaded and over $11 billion in taxes. The US is not GRA. How GRA didn't know that? So let's move on. They accuse him that's tax evasion. They accuse him of rape. Pretty can't bring the girl here. The girl can't make a police report yet, but he's accused of that. They accuse him of murder. They accuse him of what else? One more thing. I remember the other thing. Four. Irfaan Ali has listen to me. Azruddin has 4 accusations against him. Gold smuggling, right, 4. All right, let's add one more. They say drug dealing, 5. Irfaan has 19 that the court said there is enough evidence until he tried. And Jagdeo said you could be president. And you want to talk to me?
Yes.
If Azruddin Mohammed never spent a minute in the court, he never spent a second in the station to say you're charged with this crime, you're going to be imprisoned, or you tried, none of that. Irfaan was before the court. Irfaan, Canada, told Irfaan, don't come here because you got 19 fraud charges against you and we advise you don't come here, which means he was sanctioned by Canada. And you're telling me now that a man who has 19 fraud charges, and Ali Haq said, well, you're president now, so we cannot pursue the matter. He's good enough to lead the country, but Azruddin, who has 5 accusations against him, is not good enough to go and help somebody. He's not leading anybody. What the PP is afraid of is that they recognize that people are now onto their skullduggery. People don't want to deal with the PP anymore, or the PNC, because they recognize that these people here, when they should be fighting for us, they fight against us. There is nobody in Parliament who said that it's unfair for us as parliamentarians to have all these duty-free concessions while a teacher can't afford to buy a vehicle. Not one of them says that. Jenna, before, as you're about to speak, I promise you, should we make it to the House Assembly, my brother, if I'm not leading the country, whatever it is they want to say, whatever position I have, if you make the House Assembly, I will stand. I'm telling you what I'll do now. I'll ask for a form or letter for the duty-free concession, and I'll stand and tear it in Parliament. I'll rip it before all their faces. I promise you all that. For them to see that I don't mean business. I don't play when it comes to that. I mean business. Sorry, Jenna. Your closing remarks. I just had to get it out because I had enough of this nonsense right now.
You're right what you say. Guyana is not a state of the United States of America, as Trump wants Canada to be a state of the United States of America. You are absolutely right, and we have to have a program to discuss this whole thing again about our laws, our regulations, and who's in charge. The fact of the matter is that they cannot prove anything that they are saying against the Mohammeds. Jagdev has deliberately caused the Americans to put sanctions so he can implement it here. Who's implementing the sanctions? It's the government of Guyana. Who's the head of state? The head of state is Irfaan Ali, but Jagdev is the one who is directing him, who to charge, who to lock up, who to call the commissioner of police and say, you're going to lock up this one, you're going to do this to that one, don't give them jobs, don't give them contracts. We have never seen the level of corruption this country has ever had as is having now. The country is totally corrupt, immoral, and you can't find a place, another word to describe the squandal mania, the wastage, the destruction of the very fabric of our society is at stake, and we cannot allow this to carry on. It can't. Somebody talk about Anil Nandalal. Anil Nandalal is the pinnacle of engaging in all kinds of skullduggery. When I went to see him in the first time when he was the Attorney General, he said to me, man, I don't know what I'm supposed to do as Attorney General. He still does not know what to do as Attorney General. Name one significant law that benefits the ordinary people in this country that Anil Nandalal and the other one, Basil Williams, have implemented in this country that benefits the ordinary people. Not a single law. And these guys
they'll do. I'm not saying about they'll do the shop.
And rights and
they'll do,
and
Jenna.
morality. They have
Jenna,
no
Anil said you could buy
authority
sex toys
to
in the
talk
shop.
about these things. None.
That's Anil's legacy. You could buy sex toys now. You could buy dildo in the shop. He stood in Parliament and said that they sweated, they toiled tirelessly so you could now buy sex toys. That's Anil as an Attorney General. That's his accomplishment. While people are languishing in jail for little 10, 20 grams of marijuana, a plant, they can't repeal the law yet. But you could buy sex toys in the shop. He sweated all night so these ladies could buy, a man could buy toys.
No, they've repealed. They have repealed. They have repealed the law, brother, which Croatia didn't do. But what they have not done,
they did not repeal the law, Jenna. No, brother.
Plant hemp.
Jenna, no, they have not repealed the law. The law is you can have as many as 3 to 8 grams, which is the spliff. The law has not been repealed. You cannot have 50 grams of marijuana.
Why don't they ban alcohol in this country, which is much dangerous?
Exactly.
Yeah, I know that.
Banks, DIH, DDL. Anyway, Jenna, I have to go to work. You make me find myself.
Go dealing with crime.
You make me find myself, Jenna. we have to pick up this again. We have to continue. I love the interaction. I love how the people, of course, are certainly, inspiring to us. And they certainly are. It's a breath of fresh air for us to have this kind of mature discussion where we can agree, we can disagree. I see Oren was on commenting. We have tried to get our brother Oren on with other people as well, so we can have healthy discussions here. Ali Majid, I'm not sure whether you're inclined to do that, but I would love to have you join us in this platform. I need to have informed men speak to our nation. So let's do it. All right, Jenna, do well, my brother. I'm headed to work.
Take care. Yeah, right. Good.
Bye, viewers.